Can you imagine the scene? The procession. Can you imagine thousands of people crowding the streets of the city of David, the city called Jerusalem? Thousands of eyes looking all around. Expectation is high. Can you sense the thrill of that in the air? Thousands of people joining together at that time. So they throng the streets for this special day, and the children are playing as they always do, getting louder and louder, and the parents are trying to quieten them down, and yet all the time the parents themselves are getting louder and louder, and they feel alive because there's a buzz, there's a noise, there's a sort of clamour about the place as I said, the expectation rises. And let's not forget, 30 degrees Celsius under an Israeli sun, it's hot as well, I'm sure. So they're there, standing, hoping, they're waiting, trying to see perhaps over the shoulders of yet another person. Why? Because they want to glimpse something, and they want to glimpse something amazing. And then it happens. The priests begin to move. The singers begin to sing. The volume begins to raise and rise itself up, and musical rhythms start to happen around the place. Because something is amazing, and something amazing is about to happen. And here it is. Suddenly you see King David, but he's not walking. No, he is dancing. In fact, he's undignified in his worship of his God. He's absolutely going for it. 2 Samuel 6, which is what this psalm, I think, also refers to. But why is he doing this? He's doing this because the Ark of the Covenant is there with him. That ark, which symbolises the very presence of God on earth, is there. The ark, which symbolises the eternality of God, the cleansing of sin, and the loving kindness, mercy of God, is there. That's why David's dancing. That's why he's undignified, because this is about his God and his worship of his God. That's why there is a procession. And so at that procession, here is the first profession of faith that the worshippers make to each other. And they shout this, verses 1 to 2. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. For he found it upon the seas and established it upon the waters. That's their first profession of faith. You see, in a world in which lots of people believed in many gods, the Israeli Jewish people are declaring one God, and his name is Yahweh. He is the Lord, the one who simply is. That's their God alone, the only one. And as the verses make clear, the world is his, everything and everyone, the vegetation, the plants, the food, the animals, every molecule, every atom belongs to their God, because Yahweh created it. And then, having done that, saying those first 2 verses and all that they mean, we get a verbal exchange, as it were, between the worshippers and the priests. And that happens in verse 3. Here it is. Who may ascend the hill of Yahweh? Who may stand in his holy place? And the answer that the congregation, to that congregational question, that kind of back and forth exchange, the answer is very simple. It's verse 4. He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul to an idol or swear by what is false. That's the answer to that question. And I'm sure it's pretty obvious what the phrase clean hands and pure heart really mean. First of all, clean hands means it's about one's behaviour, about how we behave in the world. And the second one, pure hearts, is to do with an inward motivation and disposition. It's about our heart for God. This then is what's important. It's about removing those things that are morally questionable. It is about also seeking the Lord for who he is, verse 6. And you could say, in fact, that when one seeks the Lord and has a proper relatedness to him, they will find they then have less of a desire for those morally questionable things. And notably, in this psalm, out of all the choices that could have gone in there here, we have two specific things mentioned: swearing by what is false, and second, the worship of any idol. For those with clean hands and pure motivations, they instead will receive, in contrast, blessing and vindication. Yes, those who search and seek out their Lord, seek out his face, will have those things and even more besides. Verse 5 to 6. So what should we say? We say what's at the end of verse 6, the Hebrew word Selah. Selah means pause, stop, suspend what you are doing, ponder on these things, and value its meaning. And so, as the procession with the Ark of the Covenant, symbolising the very presence of God, prepares to enter the city gates, the city of Jerusalem, those famous words ring out, and how apt and fitting they are. Here they are. Lift up your heads, O you gates. Be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O you gates. Lift them up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is this King of glory? Yahweh of hosts. He is the King of glory. It may interest you to know that in ancient Israel, there are a few ruins of very ancient castles where deep grooves can be seen in the posts of the gateway to a city, which shows that the door was not opened in the normal sense that we understand it to be, but was lifted up and drawn down by using ropes. So with that in mind, our passage makes perfect sense. Be lifted up on those ropes, you gates, you doors. You doors, be drawn up on those ropes. Be opened. Why? Because the King of glory, symbolised by that Ark of the Covenant, is on his way. Who is this King? Yahweh mighty in battle, as the passage makes clear. That's who he is. Yes, he is the King of glory. And that word glory, it means weighty and copious. This King has a heavy, weighty copiousness, a glorious, weighty, heavy copiousness of presence about him. Yes, that is who he is. That is the King we must welcome in. See you in part 2. Often I find that when I've done my praying and preparation for these sermons, that you get to a point you think, well, I've done what I'm supposed to do. But then sometimes I will pray about it again to see if there's anything else that the Lord wants to say. And on this occasion, I do believe I was given a prophetic word, a prophetic picture, if you like. And here it is, something for you to consider with me. I began by thinking about what the glory of the King would be like. And I had an image in my mind, really, of light kind of coming down. And that light was symbolic of the presence and the glory of the Lord. And then as I thought about this, I saw many, many people with their hands raised up towards this glorious light, hands raised towards the King. One after the other, they stood, many, many people. And those persons were eager, desirous and welcoming of the Lord. And I believe those people were the church of Jesus, wherever she may be. And so the glory came down on them, the weighty presence of the Lord. But then I looked closer and I saw something I had not seen before. In amongst this vast crowd there were those with darkened hands. And I wondered what that might mean. And I felt the Lord say to me that whilst there were many in his church who are desirous and welcoming of him, there are also many who want to push him away. I believe the Lord is saying to us that there are those within church who do not necessarily want the King of Glory to come in. And I believe he would also say that not all church is my true church. I believe he is calling out for a people who are absolutely and completely 100% focused on him, a people who seek his face. Going to church on a Sunday is not what the Lord desires. What he desires is for his church to be church wherever she is, and to love him and to love each other and those in our lost community out there. I think the Lord wants us to be his bride, and we are, of course, but he wants to beautifully prepare us. That's what he's doing with us and within the church worldwide. And he wants his church to arise in these end days and be what he has called her to be for the sake of his name. So perhaps we can say together then, King of Glory, we welcome you. Please come in. King of Glory, we welcome you. Please come in. King of Glory, we welcome you. Please come in. I trust that what I taught last week on Psalm 35 and those breakthrough words, and today from Psalm 24, will act as a kind of foundation for where we're gradually going to, particularly from September onwards. And I know that Clive and Derek will be speaking on related themes in these next coming Sundays whilst I'm away having a break. And so this foundation will be laid. And I trust that God will do an amazing thing in and through us all. Praise be to him. Amen.